we
So,
doing?
how are you today?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah, except for my
So,
my hair. I need a haircut after 3-4 weeks. But
uh, okay, seriously now, you can
I
see
know
the reason why I go to Angel every 5 weeks.
my wife asked me last night. She goes, "Do you have a Dremel?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Do you have a little adjust, no, a little fitting for it?" I said, "Yeah." What am I doing? She goes, "My fingernails need to come off." I'm like, "What?"
Oh, hey, we don't even want to discuss nails right now.
She's literally to the point. I'm gonna take a Dremel. She goes, "You have to get the paint off, and then I soak them and they come off." I'm like, "Okay."
Well, I tried that. The first time they didn't come completely off, and then I had to soak them again. So they're finally off now, and I look like everybody's like posting on Facebook, what are you going to do as soon as this is over with? And like, I'm going to go visit family. I'm going to go do this. I'm going straight to get my hair colored and my nails done.
There's gonna be a line around the corner.
I've already got the appointment set up. So
I
it's,
know.
we're good to go on that. But anyway, hey, put to rest a rumor for me.
Okay.
I'm getting lots of emails from lenders that Maryland Mortgage Program is dead.
It is not. So just like every other bank or every other program, the biggest thing that the market and news is not talking about is how all of this is affecting the lender, such as us who do the loans. So the problem is a little thing called early payoff. When a borrower does forbearance, a bank sometimes regards that as an early payoff. So in other words, if I do a loan today
Uh-huh.
and borrower of mine goes next week, gets the thing in the mail and does a refi before they make 2 or 3 payments, it technically is a early payoff based on every bank's classification, which means they have paid that off before it's actually been transferred to Fannie, Freddie, the bank that did the loan. They call us and say, "Hey, we didn't recoup our interest we needed in this. We're taking all the money we paid you for doing the loan, we're taking it back."
Oh,
So the whole thing has been thrown into a whirlwind of what do they classify forbearance as? We've gotten guidance from Fannie. Every single institution's different, every single bank is different. And when you're dealing with any type of housing authority loan, whether it's here, whether it's Delaware, Virginia, Rhode Island. We do loans in Rhode Island and they have the similar. Um, you're dealing with the state agency. You're dealing with the bank that holds the loans, which in a lot of these cases is U.S. Bank. And then you're dealing with the institution that backs it, whether it's Fannie, Freddie. There's housing, there's USDA. So there's lots of people and lots of moving pieces. We're currently waiting. We're moving forward as doing loans, processing everything. We hope to have a better understanding from the state of Maryland. As of right now, the state of Maryland is still doing loans. They're open. They have not shut down anything. Some companies have stopped, and there is talk that if the state of Maryland and all the agencies involved say early payoff of forbearance is an early payoff technically, and that if we do a loan and they call the next day to say, "Hey, I can't pay my bills," it's kind of worthless for wasting all that time and money doing the loan. So that's the hang up. Some banks have stopped doing them. There has been warnings out that this is in discussion and it may come to head, but we haven't gotten any guidance from the state of Maryland yet or all the
oh,
parties involved.
okay.
They have not made a decision. They have not come out and definitively. And look, we do more loans through the Maryland Mortgage Program than anybody in the state of Maryland. FirstHome Mortgage is number one lender year after year after year. So we have their ear and talking to them every day. It's just a question of getting the answer so that we're safe to proceed. We're moving forward as everything's going to be fine. Rhode Island
Okay,
came
cool.
out yesterday. I think they're proceeding and closing loans and funding them as it goes, as normal. So, and I think it's the same bank. I think U.S. Bank does Rhode Island too.
Yeah, it's frustrating when we keep getting all these emails and seeing posts on Facebook and the calls and everything else like that, that you don't know if the world is really coming to an end, or if it's chicken little with the acorn.
Yeah, and the problem is every single lender is different. So some lenders don't do certain programs. Some lenders don't have access to certain banks. Some lenders are, when you're talking to them, are they a lender? Are they a broker? So everybody has a different angle to this, or a different side. Jumbo financing is probably the biggest thing right now, the non-conforming market that is dissipating. So we had a couple more banks come out and say they're not doing non-conforming loans anymore.
Is this a temporary thing or a permanent thing?
It's temporary. It is a riskier loan because it's not backed by Fannie or Freddie. So when you get above those lending limits for Fannie and Freddie, it is something that is held in-house by a bank and not packaged up and sold in the open market a lot of times. So it is a riskier process, riskier loan. The ones that are still in the business have raised LTVs, as far as what they are and aren't doing, and also raising credit scores for qualifying. And along with that, you're going to see for some of these programs, they're going to increase reserves. Oh. So you've got to have, instead of 2 months reserves, it may go to 4, which covers you against maybe going and qualifying or asking for a forbearance right away. So that's why they're increasing those standards.
Wow, lots of changes.
It is. And it's daily. I mean, I've got a few bars right now, FHA, that they're constantly weekly coming out and updating DU, which is the underwriting system. Mm-hmm. And that's their tolerance levels of what they will and won't accept. And borrowers that are borderline credit score and debt ratio, we have to constantly keep running because it changes. You may qualify this week, next week you may not. And I've got a couple right now that I have conversations with every other day of, hey, you know what? They're coming out with an update. I got to rerun it next week. Please stand by.
Good Lord. And then I'm also seeing posts on Facebook about how interest rates are going to be in the high ones in the next month or two. Where is that coming from?
I don't know where they're getting that from. So the market that typically drives interest rates, the bond market, is doing very well. We're at levels that we haven't probably ever seen, as far as since it's been deriving and watching it for rates. You can't correlate them anymore. They don't, one doesn't translate into the other right now. And it probably won't for a while. If we had a normal market right now, and the bond market was where you would have probably, below 3, it'd probably be mid 2s. But it's just, I think everything's going to adjust. When you get to that point, when the market and everything levels out and there's some sort of normalcy, everything else is going to go back to normal as well. So your rates aren't, even if they do hit that for a little bit, they're not going to stay there. They're not. Every market's going to go back to a normal range.
And what should be a normal range?
I think where we were probably pre-epidemic. If it'll sustain, you may sit at that mid 3s, low 3s to 4%, depending on the type of loan. The biggest thing is really normalcy. Like I was just watching on here and they're interviewing, these billionaires and millionaires that are investing and have multiple companies and assets. Bill Gates, saying, hey, everything could be back to normal by June, but a lot of it, his opinion, a lot of it rests on whether or not we have a cure and people's overall feeling of the situation and whether or not they want to go out and whether or not they want to go back to work or go into crowds or the train station and just shaking hands. They talked yesterday that may be something that doesn't come back until next year. People may not want to shake hands.
That part still kills me. It's like whenever I see somebody I'm meeting for the first time, and yeah, I'm still showing houses, but I'm staying like 8 to 10 feet away from them. And if it's anyone who's out and about, then we're going to FaceTime the house first. If they are only leaving their house to go look at a house with me, yeah, I'll meet you. But for the most part, we're going to FaceTime at first and then set up another time for you to come see it in person.
Right.
I mean, I got to keep my family safe too.
Absolutely.
But it kills me though when I'm meeting someone for the first time and it's like you go shake hands and you're like, oh, you can't. So I want the shaking hands back. I want the hugs with my friends and my family. I want the hair done and the nails done and going back to hanging out with friends and going out to dinner or happy hour, whatever, and networking, and not limited to this of everything online.
And I think a lot of people do, and a lot of that will correlate to the market.
Yeah.
So when that gets back to normal and everybody's comfortable, going to a restaurant, and if you bump into somebody, you don't freak out and run out the door. You turn around and want to shake their hand. So all of that is something that's going to drive the markets. Jobless claims, when they start going down and people go back to work, all of that is something to look for.
Yeah, and that's where it's like it's frustrating and confusing because what I'm seeing and reading, you've got half of the so-called experts saying this is very temporary and by June we should start to be moving back around. By July we should all be back to normal. And then you've got the doom and gloom ones that are, oh my God, this is life altering. And I do think it's life altering in some aspect, but we can take the good out of it. I kind of laugh because suddenly I feel like we're into the Jetsons area with the teleconferences and the video, everything like that. Now I just need Rosie the robot running around my house, and I need the little machine that you push, and then all of a sudden the gourmet dinner comes out. And
I got 3 Rosie the robots, and they're all learning how to clean and scrub toilets. And
exactly. Everything. It's like, sign me up. And then also, I want the conveyor belt you stand on. You go through, you're showered, you're dressed, your hair's done, everything's perfect. It's like 5 minutes,
you're
5-minute car wash.
Your coffee. That's awesome.
That's not what.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, whoever can come up with this now, do it. So.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem we have now is information. There's a lot of misinformation, and there's a lot of people. And look, I'm on the phone 2-3 hours a day just calling people, and going over this. And there's still people that don't have a clue what's going on. And the worst is if you have a buyer, and the buyer, because a lot of times buyers go back to the realtors and say, oh my God, this guy's charging me points and this and that. Mm-hmm. And I've had realtors go, oh, well, no, that guy doesn't know what he's doing. Here, call this guy. And they end up getting the same runaround. And meanwhile, that guy's wasted, 3-4 days getting the same answer. This is not a individual bank issue. This is everybody.
It's an industry-wide thing now. Yeah.
It is.
And I'm grateful that you and I had the conversation before about how the forbearance worked, because I keep sharing that on my Facebook page. And one person actually commented that she was under the impression that the 3 months that were forgiven, for lack of better terms, were added on to the end. And once she realized the whole amount was due on the 4th payment, everybody's in shock.
And the problem is, some people may be in such a hurry to do that. And, oh my God, I need to get this in place. I've been waiting in line for 12 hours and someone's finally talking to me. They just sign off. They don't read and figure out what that bank's doing and what her options are.
Yeah. And that's the part that scares me, that we may end up with the foreclosures and the short sales, because people aren't doing their homework. They're rushing out for a quick answer.
Right.
And there isn't one right now.
There's no playbook for this.
No, but I'm also looking at it as like, all right, how much money am I saving? I mean, granted, I look like a troll, but
even the government going through all this. I mean, this COVID-19 bill, none of this. This is not anything they've brought up and said, oh, well, we used this 10 years ago. Let's put this in place again. It's there.
The good part is right now you can still get to settlement. You can still buy and sell. I mean, we're seeing houses hit the market and be gone within a couple of days. And this is in the range all the way up to 700 right now in the county. So people are still buying and selling. People
Absolutely.
still want to move. I'm
And we're
hoping
talking to new
that,
buyers every day.
yeah.
I mean, it's been, you keep saying, you know what, I gotta do what I can because next week's going to be really slow. I know it is, and it's not.
No, every like I go into some of these chat rooms for agents all over the world, and they're talking about, oh, now there's downtime. This is the perfect time to implement this, 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 and this. I'm like, what downtime? Time out, time out. I don't know what this is you're talking about, but was like I was saying earlier with Zoom, and I'm sure you're seeing it too. This is game changer for my business.
Mhm.
Where I can now review contracts online with buyers and sellers, and not they don't have to drive down. I don't have to drive to them. We can do it face to face, and at the same time I can go in, edit it the way they want it done, and they can feel comfortable without having to read it on their own, and then we discuss it verbally.
Right.
It's I'm like, I'm loving this part. So
And we're doing the same thing with buyers, and it works out awesome. I mean, it's just like sitting in an office with them and turning the screen around
yeah.
and sitting there and explaining it to them, except everybody's in the comforts of their own home, and we can still ask questions and just like being at a table. It's great.
Exactly. And so if you're dealing with someone who has like a young child, I don't mind doing it at night after the child's in bed, and they don't have to worry about trying to drag them out, entertain them while one person's talking and they're focused on the baby.
Right.
Now they can put the baby to bed, grab a glass of wine, and we can sit there and talk about it. And they're
I will say
relaxed.
I am scheduling meetings around nap times of babies.
Yeah.
I have two today. One I've already done that was scheduled. They're both scheduled around a nap time. I love it.
It's awesome.
I'm like, can I schedule a meeting around my nap time? Can I take a nap? We'll just block that out.
Just go on the Calendly and block it out. Is it? Yeah, because I just got that all set up now, which I'm going to be adding to my website.
It works awesome. I've been using
And
it for a while now.
I've got it blocked where you can either as an initial buyer, initial seller, buyer go tour houses, and seller for me to come view it.
Yep.
And that way, for the initial ones, I'm doing those through Zoom. And otherwise, block the time, we go out, and they know when I'm available instead of doing hey, does 2:00 work? No, but I can meet you at 3. Oh, wait, I've got something else at 4.
Right. And I use it to block time for myself too. So
Yeah.
you take that time for, just to do what you need to do, whether it's recharge or
Mm-hmm.
homework with the kids, honestly, now. There's got to be time for that to help them and help with IT and computer setup and their calls, everything else.
Oh, yeah, there's so much. And so I'm excited. It's like, try it, give it, something new and see where this thing goes.
Yep.
But
Well,
anyway,
I'm happy we can do these, so we'll keep doing them. Let's do it every week.
absolutely.
And,
So,
we'll debunk all those rumors or verify the ones we hear.
well, right now they're like coming out faster than, there's more rumors now than there were when I was in high school. So it's like settle down, people, settle down. So,
Yep.
all right. Well, it was good catching up. We'll do it again next week.
Good talking to you.
All right.
Stay
Thanks.
safe. Bye.
All right.